General Secretary of the Communist Party of China and President Xi Jinping visited the city of Wuhan and made an inspection of different enterprises and residential communities. On his tour, he spoke about China's response to COVID-19 and the need for the country to be self-reliant in terms of science and technology, among other things. In this video, we'll give you the rundown of everything that he said during his tour. Firstly, let's talk about Xi Jinping's visit to Wuhan. Xi Jinping toured Wuhan, the capital city of China's central Hubei province. Ding Xuizhang accompanied him on this tour. During his trip, he stressed the importance of China's New Development philosophy. The New Development philosophy stresses innovation and states that self-reliance is the #1 prerequisite to achieving and maintaining national security. To that end, he visited a number of different companies and spoke with the workers to tell them about the importance of making China's industries autonomous. Alongside Wang Zonglin, the governor of the Hubei province, and Wang Mengwei, the Hubei Provincial Committee's secretary, his first stop of the day was the Wuhan HG Laser Engineering Co. There, he visited the R&D building and attended a presentation and demo of the various innovations the company was making in the chip industry. Xi seemed very impressed with the work being done at the company and restated how crucial the chip industry is, and that China has the potential to be a global leader in breakthroughs in the field. At the company's showroom for laser science and technology, he attentively looked at the exhibits showing the various applications of laser technologies. Xi was also shown the workshop at HG Laser Engineering, which produces laser equipment for the manufacture of semiconductor panels. Again, Xi took a keen interest in the displays that he was shown and emphasized their importance for China as a country. He remarked that high-end manufacturing, like the kind that was being performed at the company, was key to achieving high economic growth. Next, Xi stressed the importance of self-reliance for China. When Xi spoke to the employees of HG Laser Engineering, he noted that while China is the second largest economy in the world, it still has weak links in many different areas. Some industries don't have a solid enough foundation, and that's why more innovation is needed to ensure that they contribute to the development of the country. He said that the CPC Central Committee thinks that scientific innovation and development are of the utmost importance, and that's why it's been implementing a policy to reinvigorate China. To further develop the country, industries need to address several core bottlenecks in integral areas of technology. With perseverance and implementation of the advantages of new technology on a national scale, the country can be successful in its mission of becoming self-reliant in science and technology. He added that this glorious mission must be undertaken by the current young generation. Scientific development requires both talent and funding, and he praised that he saw so many young faces at the company. Xi said that the CPC Central Committee is deeply invested in the growth of science and technology, and that all levels of government must work together to ensure an environment conducive to scientific growth and innovation. He also said that he hoped young and vigorous talent would continue to work hard to take part in this mission of achieving technological independence. If every single city, industrial zone, company, and researcher all work together and take steps to promote technological innovation, the glorious mission will definitely be achieved. Finally, what Xi said about China's COVID policy. Later in the day, Xi visited the residential community of Xiwan in the East Lake High-Tech Development Zone, where thanks to strict measures, the community were able to quickly recover from the COVID-19 pandemic and return to normal life. There, he attended a briefing on the epidemic prevention and control and the governance work done after the epidemic in the Hubei province. Xi said that after fighting back against the pandemic in 2020, the city had experienced multiple smaller outbreaks in the last 2 years, but they were brought under control quickly. He praised the routine epidemic prevention work in the province and said that it was proof that the CPC Central Committee's pandemic prevention policies are effective. Xi then visited a group of community volunteer services to get a first-hand account of fighting the pandemic from the workers on the ground. He was satisfied by their pandemic prevention and control measures, like nucleic acid sampling. The 69-year-old leader reiterated that residential communities have played a frontline role in the fight against the pandemic. Controlling a pandemic involves a combination of detection and response, and the collective efforts of the community are vital to achieving both. Xi said that to make sure that we hold the line against the pandemic, we have to act decisively and quickly when cases are discovered and make rational choices to prevent any further spread. The president also stressed that the COVID-19 pandemic served as a test for the Chinese people and government. The CPC's dynamic zero-COVID COVID policy has evolved whenever new developments have been found to maximize its effectiveness and allow people to return to their lives as fast as safely possible. He said that because of China's massive population, if they adopted the measures other countries have, such as relying on herd immunity, the results would have been disastrous. The CPC Central Committee would rather sacrifice economic growth temporarily than risk the lives of the most vulnerable citizens of the country. That's why the dynamic zero COVID policy has been instrumental in stopping the pandemic. In the end, Xi also said that while the worst seemed to be over, the pandemic was still a very real danger and that people shouldn't become complacent or let their guard down. Party officials and community members should stay vigilant, and he has faith that things will get back on track soon. In other related news, first, China's Xi Jinping deeply regrets Shinzo Abe's death. Chinese President Xi Jinping gave his condolences over the assassination of the ex-Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. He also expressed his condolences to Shinzo Abe's family. Abe was shot in the Japanese city of Nara during a campaign speech for his election to parliament. According to Chinese state media, Xi said that he deeply regrets Abe's sudden death. The leader recalled his work with Abe on achieving consensus between the two countries. Japanese and Chinese relations have been sour over a territorial dispute in the East China Sea, and because of the legacy of Japanese actions during World War II. But during Abe's second term, relations between the two countries improved. Abe visited China in 2018, back when he was prime minister, and Xi was supposed to return the favor with a visit sometime in 2020, but that was put on the back burner because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, relations between the two countries are tense again because of an increased push by the Japanese government towards securing defense spending for Taiwan, which China claims as its own territory. Next up, a Hong Kong legislator tested positive for COVID after meeting Xi Jinping. A legislator from Hong Kong, who was pictured standing with Chinese President Xi Jinping last week, said he had tested positive for coronavirus. Steve Ho, who's a member of the Democratic Alliance for Betterment, said that he'd tested negative on the 30th of June, the day of the trip, but then on July 1st, he tested positive, and so he skipped attending the 25th anniversary of Hong Kong shifting to Chinese rule. This was Xi Jinping's first trip outside of mainland China since the start of the pandemic, and it lasted less than 24 hours. Xi took great care during this visit, only meeting with people who had gone through quarantine to minimize his risk of catching the disease. In the picture, Ho's standing 2 rows behind Xi, and everyone present is wearing masks. Despite Hong Kong now getting almost 2,000 new cases of COVID every day, the chief executive, John Lee, says that for now, there are no plans to introduce universal testing. His view was that universal testing should only be performed at the beginning or end of a pandemic, and right now, contact tracing was sufficient. He also added that Hong Kong's inbound week-long quarantine would stay in place. Finally, Xi Jinping defended China's crackdown on Hong Kong. During a visit to Hong Kong to celebrate its 25th anniversary of leaving British rule for the Chinese, Xi defended the Chinese government's response to the 2019 protests in the city. He claimed that the city had ended all chaos and violence, and it was ready to break new ground and take a leap forward in the next 5 years. The president, in his keynote address, said that the people of Hong Kong had become the masters of their own destiny, and that the one country, two systems promise had led to true democracy in the city. He also said that power in the city must remain in the hands of patriots. John Lee was sworn in as the new chief executive for Hong Kong at the ceremony, and he said that this marks a new era for the city, with greater integration with mainland China. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think China will become the world leader in technological innovation soon? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.